Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
Oh, there we go. Oh, it's Steven Solo there. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. Sabres suffer another loss. This one obviously much closer, 3-2 in a shootout. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen with 40 saves. Another impressive performance by UPL. Me and producer Steve were actually at the game together. Enjoyed ourselves very much so, even though, again, it was a loss. But some good, some bad, and some ugly. Right, Steve?
Yeah. There were a couple misplays here and there, but there was a lot more on the upside than the downside for a lot of players. I think that very first goal that UPL gave up, I think that was an unfortunate 3-on-1. The defender did everything they could to try to cut off the pass, getting down right on their stomach. Did everything they could, being the only guy back. Didn't get a lot of relief. It just went east to west in a millisecond. There's not a lot that many goalies are going to be able to do against that. And the goalies that can make that stop are the ones that are making it to the Hall of Fame. And this kid's still 22. So when the Capitals go east to west like that, it's pretty hard to make that stop. So I can't get down on him too much for letting that one slip by.
Again, that's a very difficult save for any goalie in this league to make. So, again, like you said, you can't fault them for that. With that being said, I thought the first two periods, I thought they started off a little slow, but, as things picked up in the first period and the second period, Buffalo played a very, very strong game, very good 200-foot game. And the third period, then they were outshot 17-6, and you can't have that happen. That's mind-blowing to play 40 minutes of good, solid hockey, and then you just completely shit yourselves in the third, and not helping out UPL out there at all. He had to stand on his head. Me and you both saw it live. Kid was absolutely phenomenal tonight, and just help the guy out. Holy shit, get this kid some goal support.
Yeah, the posts were definitely Vitek Vanacek's friend tonight. The shootout alone, Tage Thompson and Dylan Cousins both ring it off. But there was that really good quality chance that Dylan Cousin had that bounced off one post, off Vanacek's backside, and just barely skeeted out the other side. And it was just, oh my goodness, it's not like the chances weren't there. In the third period, they weren't there, but those first 40 minutes, they were throwing a lot at the net. Brett Murray also gets a dinger right off the post, and he had that nice clean look. Tage Thompson doing just about everything he can to try to put one home, just can't do it. Anders Bjork even finally stops being invisible, and he gets a nice little tip-in chance right at the very end of the I want to say the end of the first period there. So the chances were there, and they were coming from a lot of different avenues. But, the 200-foot game was definitely a lot stronger than it's been in these past few outings. Obviously, before when we didn't really have goaltending backing us up, we were scoring 4 goals but letting in 7, empty netters notwithstanding. But there were a couple really good back-checking efforts that I saw. One from Dylan Cousins when he got just enough stick on it to have to make Alexander Ovechkin readjust at the very last second, making a big drive late in the third that could have just as easily been the game-winning goal, take away our loser point. But Dylan Cousins got back there, and there was another really good defensive play. Victor Olofsson driving back on a odd man rush, taking his man, just beats him right at the post. He was about to rip one off, and then Victor Olofsson just kind of swoops in at the last second and saves the day. Definitely bailed out UPL there. So, we definitely didn't get the result we were looking for on the scoreboard, but this was definitely one of the strongest games played by the Sabres from the top to bottom, forward to back end that we've seen in a minute. It's just a shame that we can't get some of those 4 or 5 goal nights out of these guys now that we finally have a goaltender that can bail us out in the event that we do make a misplay at the blue line or get caught on an odd man rush. It's just a little bit of a bummer, but what can you do?
Yeah, we've been saying this now for a while, pre-UPL. When you have a goaltender that you can depend on, you can play a little bit more free, take more chances offensively, and you get to kind of take some more liberties offensively. And I've said this so many times. Like, I understand that defensively we've been terrible, certain players more so than others, but sometimes a good way to play defense is by playing well offensively, because you're maintaining puck possession, you're driving play, you're keeping the puck away from the other team for longer amounts of time, which means it's less time they're spending in your end. Buffalo did that for 2 periods today. They drove play. They were out shooting the Capitals. They were out chancing the Capitals. They said they were hitting posts. And one of the biggest, turnarounds, I think, of the last couple of games is, watching Jokiharju and Rasmus Dahlin be reunited, and, they look so comfortable together again. It's definitely a breath of fresh air. They didn't hurt us out there at all in our own end, in my opinion. But, it definitely a breath of fresh air to see them kind of take strides forward, both because they were both struggling quite a bit, Steve.
Yeah, we were actually having that conversation during the game, why it took so long for that pairing to reunite. And I honestly think it's just because that, this is a season of experimentation. It's a season where you try everything, see what works, see what doesn't, try Tage Thompson at center, see what happens. Try this pairing, try that pairing. And I think with Jokiharju going out in that very first game with the broken foot, once he finally returned to the lineup, they wanted to see what Jokiharju could do with some of the other parts of that defensive core. But it became pretty clear pretty quick that Dahlin and Jokiharju are your 2 best defensemen on the ice, and also they work best when they're working together, which was very evident at the end of last season. Mm-hmm. But I think Donnie Granato just wanted to see what Jokiharju was capable of with some of the other left-handed D. Yeah. I think he saw it. I don't think he played necessarily poorly with Jacob Bryson, but I don't know what it is, but his game just didn't seem like. I guess he just
bring out the best in each other.
Yeah, I think after just playing with Dahlin enough, I think he just kind of like knows where to expect him to be, and just kind of like being able to like predict what your partner's gonna be doing helps inform your decision making on the ice. And when you don't know, that your guy's going to be back there to have your back, sometimes you make some questionable passes. There were 2 that were kind of like that, where Jokiharju was kind of like backed into a corner, and one of them was to Dahlin, one of them was to one of the forwards that was out there, and it was just kind of like dump it off and just like, well, I'm about to lose it if I keep hanging on to it, so I'm going to give it to you. I know you're only 5 feet away, but here you go. And but yeah, it looks like they're more often than not they're finding their footing. They're getting back to where they were, and it's definitely reassuring to see, because those are the only 2 defensemen we have signed after this season's over. So
we talked about that too. Again, a lot of fans are just very restless, especially again after another hot start. And but listen, you guys, this team is going to look so much different next year. I'm talking directly to the people who complain about this roster in particular and how they're performing. This team is going to look so much different. I'm sorry, Vinny Hittnestros is probably not on this roster. Cody Eakin's probably not on this roster. Robert Hagg is probably not on this roster. Colin Miller is definitely not going to be on this roster. He was a healthy scratch tonight, by the way. It's kind of a head scratcher, but I guess maybe you want to give these other kids a chance to play, get more minutes. I understand that. You would expect Jacob Bryson to be back. Yeah, sure. No guarantee Mike Pizzik's going to be back. I know, again, there's a very, when it comes to right-handed defensemen, they're not a dime a dozen, so, and like I said Vinny Hittnestros is not going to be here. Cody Eakin's not going to be here. Drake Caggiula, who hasn't been in the lineup anyway, won't be here. And just a handful of other players are not, Anders Bjork might not be here. there's a handful.
He's actually signed through to another year. So Bjork, of those players that you don't think about being
I
like
could see him being
a
dealt
permanent part of the core, he is technically still signed through next year. So if you need that 13th guy for the bottom six, you already got him. You already got him at 1.6. And that is something that I've been saying this year, that like when Anders Bjork is on the ice, nothing particularly bad happens, but nothing that exceptional happens either.
Yeah, nothing exceptional happens offensively. You're not wrong. I could just see him being a guy that might be part of something at the deadline. I don't need him. I'm not gonna be mad if he's on my team next year, but I don't need him to be on my team next year.
Yeah, I could take it or leave it. I think there's going to be an influx of new people coming in. There could be some free agents that want to find a new home. The future, while we know what's coming down the pipeline, there are other pieces of this equation that we're just not going to know how it's going to shake out until at the very least the trade deadline, most likely, and then obviously, the Canada Day stuff that happens every single summer when the trade, when things really open up and you go, oh, okay, so you're trying to move and you're trying to move. To that end, one of the signings that's going to be interesting to look at is that Victor Olofsson's actually going to be an RFA at the end of this year.
Yeah, we control his rights again. So, I could see him again especially with how much he's improved his 200-foot game. I could see him definitely getting a decent payday. He hasn't. I don't think he's been the same guy since he's came back from that injury. The guy has such a powerful shot. I don't think we've really seen it all that often. Maybe there's some pain still lingering that's maybe making him a little bit more hesitant because again, when it comes to how dangerous he was on our power play, like he's just been very, very invisible.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying that when he was out that the biggest thing that was holding him back was that his shot was suffering and he didn't want to come back until he thought his shot was 100%. Mm-hmm. I also just think people have kind of gotten wise to it, like they kind of know that the Victor Olofsson trick is probably the first trick we're going to try because it had been so effective, because it's just such a blistering heater of a shot that if they can catch you on it, it's going in. But now the PK units for most teams are expecting it, so they put a little bit more emphasis on the side that he's on. Goaltenders also know it's like, I'm probably gonna have to cross over real quick, So I kind of feel like that they need to try. They gotta try. It seems like every single penalty, power play that they have, they've got someone like Dylan Cousins just poised in the center. They gotta try something to a lot of other super fans of the team have been saying that they're still trying the Jack Eichel power play, and without Jack Eichel leading it, it's just not working because
it's not. But you do have Tage over there who has a pretty powerful shot.
You do have Tage over, but he's never taking the shot. Though. Yeah, that's the problem.
But that's my next point is. It drives me nuts because, and that's, you see him revert to that Tage that we saw a little bit last year, quite a bit last year. A guy who overhandles the puck a lot, and he's got to stop. Like, once you have a good look, man, release that puck because you have a cannon, dude. Whether it's a snapshot or a slap shot, when he releases, dude, it's gone, absolutely gone. We saw it right there at the end of the game. He hit the post. I think he had 3 posts today, including the shootout. He has a cannon. Just let it go, bro. Just let it go. For any of those people that also, by the way, anyone who wants to leave a comment, Twitter comments are down right now with StreamYard. So hop on our YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a comment there and subscribe. Get your comments in here while me and Steve are still live for hang up and listen. Again, going back, Steve, a lot of chatter. I know Malcolm Subban's going to be back very soon from his injury. Dustin Kakarski is still in COVID protocol, but you would assume once the 2 weeks is up, whatever that might be, they're not just going to automatically send him back down to Rochester. It sounds like, at least from what Granato says, they really want to give Malcolm Subban a chance to have this job. They're going to give him his opportunity and hope he runs with it. And this is where I'm really at a crossroads with UPL, because I love watching UPL and seeing what he's done so far with the opportunities he's been given with Buffalo. But at the same time, and I would actually love to get Steve Shields' opinion on this and get him on the show, because he won a call there with Rochester. I believe they won a championship with Rochester back when he played there. I would love to get his insight on this and how much it could, in the long run, what it could do for a guy like UPL and his confidence and his development. Would it be better for him to stay here, maybe win a game here and there, but honestly, probably for the most part lose, or to take what he's learned back here, take that swagger and that confidence and take it with him back to Rochester and go win a championship?
I mean, it could honestly go either way. I do think he's just based on some of the starts that we saw out of him last year. Again, this is something else we were talking about in the stands. Some of those games that he played, literally the first shot he'd face, it would beat him. And, that definitely can help your confidence when you spend most of your time in the AHL and the few games you get in the big leagues. Yeah. You're getting beat on the very first shot you take. But these past few starts, that I feel like that's definitely doing something for his confidence to say, I think I might belong here. And I do think a lot of that is stemming from that big win that UPL helped the Rochester Americans get on the undefeated Utica Comets at the time. It was they were a 13-0 team, and with the help of UPL between the pipes, they were able to finally make them a 13-1 franchise. And they still have the best record in the AHL, which is pretty nuts. So just in case anyone out there, I'm going to be very scared of the New Jersey Devils in a few years, because those kids are fucking good. Those kids are really fucking good. And those two goalies are really fucking good.
A lot of their talent too that's already up on the big roster. Like Hughes,
for sure. Hughes, Dawson Mercer, Nico Heischer. Yeah. Oh my God!
And some of those guys have taken a little bit longer than maybe New Jersey would have wanted to really blossom. But hey, don't take anything from Buffalo's pipeline too. Not even just in Rochester. What's going on over in Michigan with Eric Portillo and obviously Owen Power, Northwestern with Devin Levi. Ryan Johnson, a defenseman who's playing in college right now. And then obviously all our European and Russian prospects.
What about our boy Aaron Hughey?
Isn't he? Yep. Yeah, Aaron Hughey with Minnesota. Yes.
Yeah, Minnesota.
There's a lot to be excited about if you're a Sabres fan. A lot of talent coming up through the pipeline in the next couple of years. So I'm extremely excited as a Sabres fan, and obviously you were never going to win the Jack Eichel trade, but when I look at the landscape that is the Buffalo Sabres and their future, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not. It really isn't. And there are some reinforcements coming next year, and that's why I think again, this year is all about individual development. You can't really hang your hat on wins and losses this year. It's all about individual development, and it looks like I'm not saying Dahlin has finally turned that corner this season, but it looks like he's getting ready to maybe peek his head around the corner and see, I'm feeling comfortable again. And you saw the offensive abilities tonight. You didn't see it just once or twice. You saw it a big handful of times.
Couple good dangles.
Yeah, he has the ability to really skate through and split defensemen and create scoring shots. He had 6 shots on goal tonight. He had most shots on goal of any player on the team tonight. That's the player we want. That's the player we drafted. And again, sometimes playing offense and holding on to the puck and maintaining it, that's a great way of playing defense too.
Yeah. There's a lot to be excited about. Something that we noticed at the game today, awful lot of Alex Tuck jerseys out there.
Yes.
He hasn't even laced up for his first official game, and people are already pretty excited for this Baldwinsville boy to show up.
I will say this, because he signed for at least, I think he signed a contract recently with Vegas, and I
Yeah,
think
it's
let's save real quick.
it's another 5 years, including this one at $475.
Jersey.
Yeah, he'll theoretically, and he's only 25, so it's it's not quite Jeff Skinner at the age of 29 for the next 6 years at $9 million. It's 5 less years of age, 1 less year of term, and half the price. So let's pump the brakes on getting worried about having somebody sign for too much money. Let's let the guy get on the ice first. And again, Alex Tuch has always been one of those chip on their shoulder kind of guys. Like, I mean, the reason that he showed up in Vegas in the first place is because I believe he was playing with Minnesota, and somehow in that equation, he was the odd man out. And then 3 years after playing some impressive hockey in Vegas, somehow he becomes the odd man out again when the opportunity to get a franchise center like Jack Eichel shows up in the mix. But I feel like any kind of big name forward might have been part of the conversation for Vegas this year. In an alternate timeline where Jack Eichel didn't have a messed up neck and wasn't trying to have a bitter divorce with a team that brought him in. There could have been some other big names that were looking for the door on their respective franchises, and Vegas might have been trying to make that move. And for some reason, Alex Tuch was the odd man out. And on Vegas, it makes a little bit more sense. That team is stacked pretty top to bottom with talent.
It's once everybody's healthy, it's cup or bust for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh yeah, they're going all in, right? They're betting it all on black.
Dude, Pacioretty, Stone, Eichel, Pietrangelo.
Yeah, it's irresponsible over there.
It's insanity, man. Like, literally, like, gambled their organization's future pretty much already. I know they have Bryson from the University of Michigan, a guy they drafted late in the first round this past NHL draft, but like, they gambled a lot with their future to make this team what it is right now. They're in win now mode. Like, it's cup or bust, this year, next year, and the following.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, the playoffs can make a hockey fan out of anybody.
Yep.
So if they were trying to make some more fans on the West Coast out there in the desert, now's a pretty good time. It'd be fun to see Vegas play the future Houston team or wherever the Arizona Coyotes may end up.
Mm-hmm.
When you owe a city that many millions of dollars in back taxes, there's a pretty good chance you're going to lose your venue. And that definitely is a shame. But at the same time, if Arizona doesn't want to show that team love, I'm sure there's somewhere else in the Southwest that might be willing to open its doors. It kind of blows my mind that a city like Austin, Texas doesn't have like a team like that. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Do they have any professional, like, big, like, I'm sure they have like some college stuff, but like, do they have like?
Yeah. They have the Houston Astros.
Yeah, but that's Houston. Austin's its own distinct thing. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Excuse me. You look at markets like maybe they think about going back to Connecticut. I mean, Quebec is the one that really sticks out the most. Like you said, Houston.
I said Austin.
Austin. Well, Austin. Yeah. Well, Houston was another city that was thrown out.
Houston was
in Texas.
Yeah.
So, just big cities, big markets. I think the people in Quebec have waited long enough to get their team back, and I think that's where they should go. Don't even think twice about it. You call them the Nordiques and call it a day, just like you did Winnipeg. Calling them the Jets again. So, I really think that's a no-brainer if you ask me. Or you can try a third time in Atlanta and see how that works out, Kerry Bettman. We know how you don't want to give up on terrible hockey markets. So,
I mean, maybe it's not quite as terrible now that we have back-to-back champions based out of Florida. Now that the teams in the South are pretty freaking good now.
Yep.
I mean, the Atlanta Thrashers became the Carolina Hurricanes. Now the Hurricanes are sick. The Florida Panthers are sick. The Tampa Bay Lightning are the Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit more of a market for hockey in the South. A little bit more. Maybe not enough to justify an entire rink for it, but I don't know. That's why I don't That's why I'm not given millions of dollars to make these kinds of decisions.
No, definitely not. Neither of us are. With that being said, before we wrap up here, Sabres fall. If these are updated stats, they're either 8-15-4, or 8-15-5. Because that would shootout loss would also be like considered an overtime loss. So what are those two stats for 20 or 21 points? Again, I'm not sure, Steve, if this is already an updated.
I think it was 19 points earlier today, so I think we're at 20 now.
20, we're at 20.
I believe. Yeah.
Third last in the Atlantic Division. We're only ahead of the Senators, who have 2 games in hand on us, and then the Montreal Canadiens, who are absolute dumpster fire. The handle NHL Watcher actually tweeted out earlier. I saw. I kind of laughed. Like, Kyle Okposo has more points than any single player on the Montreal Canadiens right now, which is mind blowing. I'm not sure how factual it is. I have to ask. You have to ask. But he definitely tweeted it out earlier. The defending.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I get that the tweets were going around like game 2 of the season where it's like Cody Eakin has more points than Austin Matthews. We need to have a conversation. And that was just funny just because it only been 2 games. But that's 25 games in?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm looking for it here. I'm pretty sure he tweeted it out earlier.
Wow.
1 second, let me see. Excuse me, that's rude of me. Late night here for Duane, way up past my bedtime. I'm looking for it here. I'm positive he tweeted it out. I now I have to find it. Kyle Okposo, this is 3 hours ago. Kyle Okposo has more points this season than every Habs player. That's insanity. That's worth the contract alone for mine. Just that stat alone, that's awesome.
Future Montreal Canadian Kyle Okposo.
Yeah,
he only has one more year here after this year. So
I don't think they'll trade him though. I don't think unless
I don't think they'll trade him, but also he'll be like 34 at that point. I don't know if it's a conversation to have at the end of next year for sure.
How many points does he have right now?
I don't know off the top of my head, but obviously it's double digits. I want to say maybe 15, 16-ish. I would have, yeah. Hold on. I can pull it up. Hold up. If he got a point, he has at least
Jesus Christ, he has 18 points.
18
points in 26 games?
18 points in 26 games.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh, yeah. My God. I knew he was having a good season, but that's phenomenal.
Just to be clear, he had 19 points in the 2019-2020 season in 52 games. 13 and 35 last year.
Once he has 20 points, that's got to be a tweet. That's got to be an immediate tweet. Kyle Okposo just exceeded the amount of points he had in 52 games last season in only 27 or 28 games. That's phenomenal. Good for him, man. We've been very critical of Kyle Okposo in the past. Mister, it is what it is. But good on him to really have a turnaround year this season. I'm extremely happy. He's almost worth his contract right now. Almost.
Better late than never.
Exactly.
He showed up to the party.
Goal scorers tonight, though, for Buffalo were Will Butcher finally joins the party, gets his first goal as a Buffalo Sabre. I believe he went 5-hole.
There was a funny tweet that he kind of stole that pass from Dylan Cousins because it was going right to him, but he drove into the play real hard and just buried it. 5-hole, got no problem with that. But that first one was just Vinny Hinostroza on that breakaway.
Yep.
He's had a lot of those chances, and a lot of the times they blow up in his face. He shoots it a little bit too high, goes off the crossbar, it goes in your nose. I'm just busting your balls. Wow. But yeah, it was really nice to see Vinny Hinostroza finally make a hot drive, dangle a little bit, and finally just bury it. It was pretty. Yeah. That celebration said it all. He was soaring like an eagle. It was beautiful.
I think it's the 6th goal of the season.
Might just be his 5th, but still a good one. Still a real pretty one.
Agreed. And then assists on the night. going to the Assman, Rasmus Asplund, Jacob Bryson, Robert Hagg, Kyle Okposo. Getting the assists, and like I said earlier, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen with 40 saves on 42 shots in regulation. And then we go to the Capitals goal scorers, where Lars Eller, Verhaeghe, not going to try pronouncing his name. Assist going to him again. Lars Eller, Kuznetsov, Oshie, Ovechkin, and former Sabre Connor Sheary. Vitek Vanacek with the win in net with 29 saves on 31 shots. Steve, who do we have next on the schedule?
Next up on the schedule, we're on the road next week. We're playing the Jets on Tuesday. We play the Wild on Thursday. And then Friday, we play the Penguins, all three of which on the road. Our next home game is not until Monday, the 20th, against the Blue Jackets. Then it's Wednesday, December 22nd, home against the Avalanche. I'm heading out of town the very next day, or else I'd be trying to go to that. I would love to see, McKinnon and Rantanen and Cale Makar, all those guys live in person. Yeah, then there's a game day after that in Columbus, and then they're kind of off around Christmas time. But yeah, the next week they're all on the road, so drink a little extra coffee because Tuesday and Thursday they start at 8, so you'll be up maybe till midnight if they go to overtime. Yeah. So just be ready, kids.
Well, Steve, it's because I mentioned earlier we're almost at midnight here, well past my bedtime. I know you're looking pretty tired too, so. With that being said, guys, I will hang up and listen. Producer Steve will hang up and listen. And this was brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. Don't haste, buy a case from Outlet Liquor on Georgia Boulevard. Again, I will hang up and listen. And 3 words, boys and girls. Let's go Sabres.